We're going to have tremendous workforce availability. We're also going to have robots helping us. We're going to have a lot of robots helping us because we need it.
There are like 7 million American men who make their living driving today in one form or another. Those jobs are gone in the next half decade.
Where do those people go?
I think that's when you start to see these calls for universal basic income.
The president said what they tried to deny. AI will take millions of jobs. And UBI isn't some future idea anymore. It's the backup plan. But what happens when your survival depends on a system you don't control? What happens when someone else decides where and how you can spend the money you have in your pocket? That's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. And I think we have to start with something people are completely glossing over. An admission from the president about what's actually coming.
You could have robots, but you're going to have to get somebody to start those robots, and you're going to have to improve the robots. But we're going to have robotic factories plus manpower. So we're going to have enough. We're going to need the help of robots and other forms of, I guess you could say, employment. We're going to be employing a lot of artificial things, but the beauty is we're going to have more jobs than we've ever had.
He straight up says we'll just use robots to work in factories and handle jobs that require physical labor. Think about that for a second. He is not talking about Silicon Valley coders. He's talking about blue-collar jobs. And that's why this clip shocked so many people, because up until now, we were told AI was only coming for white-collar work, office jobs, middle-class careers.
You've said AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and spike unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years.
Yes,
that's shocking.
That is the future we could see, and my worry is that it'll be broad and it'll be faster than what we've seen with previous technology.
The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, on Wednesday released a study that found that artificial intelligence can already replace 11.7% of the U.S. labor market. Walmart, Paramount, UPS, YouTube, and Meta have all announced new rounds of layoffs attributable to AI, with nearly 1 million job cuts nationwide this year.
Anytime someone warned about millions of jobs getting wiped out, these so-called experts would smugly respond, "Why don't you learn a trade? Why don't you join the labor force?"
I have a lot of respect for people who work with their hands, and we need electricians and plumbers and carpenters. That's a lot more important than having incremental political science majors, I think. I think we should not have this idea that to be successful you need to have a 4-year college. That is simply not true.
Well, we're going to have to build these magnificent factories. Magnificent factories for chips, for packaging, for these AI supercomputers, but also for these factories that are producing digital intelligence. All of these factories requires extraordinary skilled craft. This is something that our country needs to really celebrate, that the skilled craft professions are severely under-resourced. We just don't have nearly enough of them. Plumbers, electricians, technicians, networking technicians, building out these incredible factories. We need a lot of them, hundreds of thousands of them.
That propaganda worked. A lot of young people actually skipped college and went straight into manufacturing and skilled trades.
As the average cost of college in the United States soars, more young people are being drawn to skilled trades. It's part of a career rethink among Gen Z, who've been called the tool belt generation.
I'm Antonio, I'm 19 years old, I do asphalt.
Hey guys, I'm at work, it's 4:41 and I leave at 5, so I gotta hurry up and get this wheel liner in.
A career in skilled trade jobs is becoming a hit amongst the unlikeliest demo. Gen Z.
And let's be honest, most college degrees are a scam. They exist to saddle people with debt for life. So no one complained about kids skipping college to find work. But now even those so-called safe jobs are on the chopping block. We already know corporations like Amazon are gearing up to cut massive portions of their workforce and replace humans with machines.
This morning, concerns that Amazon, the second largest private employer in the country, is planning one of the biggest workplace transformations in modern history. The New York Times, citing leaked documents, reports Amazon expects sales to double by 2033, growth that would normally require 600,000 more workers. But the company is reportedly looking to fill those jobs with robots.
Everything that moves will be robotic. Every car, every tractor, every excavator, of course, there's going to be robotic manipulators in factories, robotic movers for moving inventory around. There will be robotic humanoid robots that are very general purpose. We're going to see robotic systems of all different kinds. They're going to be in hospitals doing robotic surgery. They're going to be in factories building things. They're going to be in farms doing agriculture.
Delivery drivers? Already on the way out.
Amazon just announced customers can now get even more delivered right to their door in 60 minutes or less thanks to Prime Air drone delivery program. In eligible areas, customers can select drone delivery at checkout, and now, thanks to new permissions from the Federal Aviation Administration, Prime Air is adding lithium-ion battery-powered products to a selection of items available for drone delivery.
Cab drivers? Same story. Autonomous vehicles are taking over. And trucking? That industry is staring down the same future as self-driving trucks roll out nationwide.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a Kenworth. Holy.
Now, maybe you'll be okay if you're a plumber or a mechanic, but let's be real for a second. We're talking about tens of millions of jobs heading for extinction. And we can't all be plumbers. We can't all be electricians, which is why the billionaires behind AI are finally saying the quiet part out loud. They are admitting we're heading toward a world where the very concept of work just doesn't exist anymore.
If you say, like, in the long term, where will things end up? Long term, I don't know what long term is. Maybe it's 10, 20 years, something like that. For me, that's long term. My prediction is that work will be optional.
Optional.
Optional. So.
We'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be like playing sports or a video game or something like that. If you want to work, in the same way, like you can go to the store and just buy some vegetables, or you could grow vegetables in your backyard. It's much harder to grow vegetables in your backyard, but some people still do it because they like growing vegetables. That will be what work is like, optional. Now, between now and then, there's actually a lot of work to get to that point. And I always recommend people read Ian Banks' culture books to get a sense for what a probable positive AI future is like. And interestingly, in those books, money is doesn't exist. It's kind of interesting. And my guess is, if you go out long enough, assuming there's a continued improvement in AI and robotics, which seems likely, the money will stop being relevant at some point in the future.
The potential positive path is so good that it will force us to rethink how should we use our time. You can almost call it a new religion or a new philosophy of, okay, how do we stay connected with each other, not addicted to these things that'll make video games look like nothing in terms of the attractiveness of spending time on them.
To me, it looks like they're preparing us for a future they've already planned. A future where they make an ungodly amount of money while ordinary people lose their jobs at a scale we've never seen before. And that's probably why these same billionaires have been running experimental universal basic income programs for years now. Not out of kindness, but to see how people react.
The city of St. Louis is moving forward with a plan for a guaranteed basic income. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. The pilot program would provide qualified families with $500 a month.
That's right. Twitter founder Jack Dorsey is putting up $1 million to expand the city's rollout of this guaranteed basic income. That means the city can now afford to offer the new benefit to 100 more families, bringing that total number up to roughly 540 families in the city.
Sam Altman himself ran one of these programs for 3 years after 2020, and the findings are interesting, to say the least. You see, people who received about $1,000 a month worked roughly an hour and a half less per week. They had more free time, more leisure, more balance. And at first glance, you might think, that doesn't sound so bad. But you have to understand something very important. These billionaires are not saints. Everything they do is calculated. Everything is for their own benefit. They know that once joblessness hits a certain point, people will come after them. That's why they've been building bunkers for years. But now they've realized something else. It's easier to control people than to fight an angry mob. And that's the real idea behind UBI.
If we do have something that completely eliminates factory workers, completely eliminates truck drivers, delivery drivers, things along those lines, that creates this massive vacuum in our society.
We will do something like a UBI or some other kind of like very long-term unemployment insurance something, but we'll have some way of giving people, like redistributing money in society.
Ultimately, we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen. And if my assessment is correct and they probably will happen, then we need to say, what are we going to do about it?
They tell us, we'll give you money, but you have to let us build these systems, these robots, these AI tools. No questions asked.
Whether we burn $500 million a year or $5 billion or $50 billion a year, I don't care. I genuinely don't. As long as we can, I think, stay on a trajectory where eventually we create way more value for society than that, and as long as we can figure out a way to pay the bills, like we're making AGI. It's going to be expensive. It's totally worth it.
And once governments buy into that idea, well, suddenly the regulations disappear. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Order that orders aspects of your administration to take decisive action to ensure that AI can operate within a single national framework in this country, as opposed to being subject to state-level regulation that could potentially cripple the industry. David Sachs, your AI and crypto czar, has been one of the key players and key authors behind the CEO. He can give you more of the granular detail, but the big picture is that we're taking steps to ensure that AI operates under a single national standard so that we can reap the benefits that will come from it in terms of economic growth, job development, national security, and technological edge.
And it's really the biggest industry that anybody's seen. I mean, it's taking off. And again, I believe there'll only be one country that really benefits, and it should be the United States, and it will be if we do this, if we're unified. We have to be unified. China is unified because they have one vote. That's President Xi.
Now, they can dress UBI up however they like, but let me tell you what it really is. At best, UBI becomes a political weapon, a tool governments use to buy loyalty from certain groups of people.
This should be on news everywhere. So Sacramento County has gone woke because
Our 5 county board representatives just voted to establish a universal basic income pilot program that serves people of color but does not serve white people. And I also found that Hispanics were left out. So if you're poor in Sacramento County, if you live under the federal poverty line, you can now receive $725 per month payments for 12 months. That is, unless your family happens to be a poor white family.
At worst, it becomes a leash, a tightly controlled financial system where they decide how you can spend your money, where you can spend it, and what you're even allowed to buy. We already see this kind of dystopian oversight in places like China, where if you default on a loan, you are publicly humiliated. Your name is broadcast for everyone to see.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens. The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens.
And we're not far from the European model either. And those politicians are openly talking about monitoring our finances and regulating what people are allowed to eat in a single day.
The UK has just concluded a trial of a personal carbon dioxide allowance, which, as the name implies, calculates how much carbon dioxide is produced annually in the UK and then divides that per person per day, then works out by how much that figure needs to fall in order to meet net zero goals. We have the white paper in my office that informed the trial. The whole concept of a daily carbon dioxide allowance is now out there for all to see. Conspiracy theory no more. I bloody told you so. To anyone who is advised by data and empirical evidence, not mass formation psychosis, carbon dioxide is the gas of life, necessary for all life on Earth. It's plant food. The more CO2 produced, the more food, plants and trees the Earth is blessed with. The climate change scam is not founded on science, it's founded on feelings.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like, say, ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
This isn't compassion. This isn't progress. It's the end of financial freedom as we know it, and they're just trying to sugarcoat that bitter reality with nicer branding and bigger promises.
Sometimes in AI they talk about universal basic income. I think it's actually going to be universal high income, where anyone can have any goods or services that they want. Now, there obviously are some risks, which illustrate perhaps if we don't do this right, you could have like a James Cameron sort of movie, Terminator. We don't want that one. But having sort of a Star Trek future would be great, where we're out there exploring the stars, discovering the nature of the universe, and a level of prosperity and hopefully happiness that we can't quite imagine yet. So I'm very excited about the future.